Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Two-Footed Tackle podcast. I'm your host, Ari Stamatakos. We're back again for another week of speaking about the beautiful game. The beautiful game. It's a really aptly kind of given nickname. I don't know. I didn't say that, but I don't know if. For those who are listening, I'm wearing a retro Netherlands top with number 14 on the back, so I'm obviously in commemoration of Jurgen Klopp. I don't know if he had anything to do with it. He probably did, because he has a lot to do with a lot of football vernacular and football in kind of heritage, considering he's one of the more influential footballers that have played the game, and people surrounding football. I've gone on a tangent 40 seconds into this podcast. It's just terrific. But regardless, I hope everyone is well. I hope everyone has enjoyed their weekend. I hope everyone enjoyed their long weekend. If you do live in Australia, of course, January 26th, long weekend on the Friday, I went and watched victory draw in very frustrating fashion. But I had a day off work, watched the football with my mates, had a beer or two. It was good weather. Watched the tennis before, watched the tennis after. You can't complain. Yeah, the result didn't go the way, but you know what? Sometimes football's not about results, and sometimes it's about just enjoying your life with football there. And I think I did that, so that's all that matters. Yeah, of course, like I said, the tennis, watched that. It happened last night, the final. Jannik Sinner defeats Daniil Medvedev, for those who give a shit. I am a massive, just total sports nuff. So I was paying keen attention to the tournament, as I do most tennis tournaments throughout the tour, or throughout the season. I'm across both tours, because I'm a nerd, surrounding all sports, so there you go. But yes, hope everybody's well. As always, I hope your sporting clubs have won over the weekends, in whatever realm that is. Well and truly into 2024 now. We are getting into February, and then once February comes and goes, then we're into March, and then we're well and truly into the thick of things. I was having this conversation with somebody not long ago. It feels like the start of the year goes by a lot quicker, because January you're still in like holiday mode. February is not even a month, because it's like 28 days, and then March you're like 3 months into the year, and then all of a sudden it's just here. So yeah, it's gone by in a flash. Done a couple of podcasts, obviously. There's been some sport that has kind of kept us entertained and occupied. Obviously, Asian Cup, Premier League, Champions League is going to start back up relatively soon for the knockout stages, I think. Oh yeah, when is that? I should probably know that, and I will quickly check. The Champions League, the knockout stage, 14th of Feb is when, I think that's when the first fixtures are. Yeah, 14th of Feb is when the first fixtures are. So there you go. So yeah, that's going to come back soon. There's going to be a lot to speak about, put it that way. But before we do start, I implore you all to subscribe to the Two-Foot Tackle podcast on YouTube. It would mean the world if you share it, like it, do all that good stuff. It does mean more than the world. And of course on all the socials, Two-Foot Tackle podcast on TikTok, Instagram and Twitter, and then all the audio platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Anchor. There we go. What do we have to speak about today? Now, there's been some news, I think is the way to describe it, and that will take up the majority of this podcast, speaking about a certain German coach who has decided to leave his post at the end of the season. So that will take up a lot of this podcast, I think, regarding looking at the future of him, looking at the future of Liverpool, looking at just a bunch of different things. So yeah, that will take up a lot. We'll speak about some Asian Cup, speak about some FA Cup, speak about some A-League, and then so yes, let's kick things off. And let's go with Klopp. Let's start with Klopp, because I feel like that's going to take up the majority of this podcast, because we've got almost the way to attack this, I think, is to look at it in kind of three different sections. Klopp with Liverpool. What's that meant? The future of Klopp and the future of Liverpool. I think that's the three sections I'll look at it. So obviously, for those who have been living under some sort of rock, Jurgen Klopp has announced he will leave Liverpool at the end of the season after 9 years in charge. In those 9 years, he's won a Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup, Club World Cup. He's won it all, right? He's won it all, and he's one of the more decorated coaches in the modern era of the Premier League, especially ones that I've seen. So yeah, it was a big Friday night that it got announced while I was actually at the Big Blue between Melbourne Victory and Sydney FC. I looked at my phone and I said Fabrizio's tweet. I'm like, oh fuck, he's gone. So that was pretty weird. But no, it's almost like a little bit of like an end of an era type thing, because Klopp is speaking out from a personal perspective, right? I'm obviously, as you can tell, Chelsea supporter, and so I've obviously I'm not a Liverpool supporter. I've got no emotional attachment to him. My brother's a Liverpool supporter, so I think I keep a closer eye, and I am slightly more emotionally invested in Liverpool in comparison to a lot of other Chelsea supporters. So maybe this is why this kind of didn't hit me, but was like, oh yeah, like this is a big moment. He's announcing his departure after 9 years, in which he's won a lot, in which has been a lot of turbulent kind of times there, a lot of good times. I think the run of losing 3 games across 2 years or something like that was pretty fucked. Like, it was something along those lines. 2 games. It was like 3 games in 2 calendar years in the league. I think something along those lines. So yeah, that's obviously insane. Obviously the Premier League win was pretty good. The 2 Champions League or the 3 Champions League finals, the 2 back to back, the winning it in Madrid. In Madrid. Yeah, it was in Madrid. Obviously, the losses in Paris and Kiev were pretty stiff, but the wins at Wembley, both against Chelsea, which were very annoying, and obviously the Club World Cup win as well. So there's been a lot to cheer about, and then you've had the tumultuous times, the COVID year after they won the league with all the injuries, and the times at the start when he was running around with fucking, like Jordan Ibe and Klein and all these guys, and like who else was running around in that team? Barini, was he still running around? But Balotelli, was he still running around? Yeah, it was a really weird team. So there's been a lot of ups and downs, but a lot of it has remained up, in fairness. So you can't say that it's not been a boring tenure for Klopp. And looking at the reaction to it by Liverpool supporters, it I wouldn't say shocked me, but I don't think I've ever thought about the reception that he would get when he did announce his departure, because I didn't think that would happen. It just didn't cross my mind. Obviously, I mean, there is a clip on the YouTube channel last year of me saying that I think he should leave, or I think he should get sacked. I didn't. Obviously, it's performative, and obviously, it's like not performative, but like it's just exploring ideas for the sake of exploring ideas. I feel like that's what this podcast is, just like my internal monologue, just streaming through different places. But I never truly thought about the immediate aftermath once he announced his departure. So I think it's one of those things where it's like this kind of moment really puts into perspective how deep football is for a lot of people, and I'll touch on obviously the football side of things a little bit later. But like from a personal perspective, looking at the reaction, looking at the reception, and the thoughts of different people, and of Liverpool fans and just Premier League fans, football fans, Liverpool fans in particular, it does feel like they've lost like a father figure. Like it's not the club will be fine. I think a lot of fans have accepted this and are taking this line of motion. It's the upset is not at the fear of what's next for the club, because I feel like they're in pretty good hands. I feel like they've got a well structured enough club that anything that happens next will be a good fit for them. I think they'll take the right steps. I don't think it's that. I think it's the fact that they're losing him, like what he represents and what he's done for them, and what he's done for the community, and what he's done for the team and the overall vibe. Because, like, I was born in 2004, and I didn't really start watching football properly till about 2011, 2012, right? Around about that time. And for the longest time, Liverpool have been, like, before Klopp came, Liverpool have just been that average team. A little bit like what Spurs have been for quite a while, right? Just this average team, not like 8th to 5th type level. Obviously, they were 1 year under Rodgers, and then they went back down. And Klopp has completely, I was going to say changed, but I don't think changed is the right term. I think Klopp has completely brought back the kind of perspective on the way older generations look at Liverpool, like my dad's era would look at Liverpool, to this current era. Because for a big generation of fans, Liverpool have always just been an average team. Like my generation, have always just been an average team. And then Klopp came, and then it took a couple of years, and then they started winning, and they started winning, and they started winning again, and they were winning. And they were winning without spending a lot of money, but they kept winning. And the way that they were winning was exciting. Salah, like scoring bulk goals, high tempo football, and they kept winning, and they won a Champions League, or they made a final and they lost, and then they came back the next year and they won it, and then they won the league, and then they won the FA Cup, and then it just kept going and going and going, and then it was like, oh shit, Liverpool are a powerhouse for generations like mine, which hadn't really seen that. So I think that's probably one of the biggest losses, maybe, but he's such a polarizing figure, maybe is the word you could use. You could say he's polarizing. I wouldn't necessarily say. I think he's polarizing, but I don't subscribe to. I don't think he should be polarizing. I think he's a manager that it's hypocritical, yes, but I think every manager is hypocritical. But I think there's one honest manager in the world, and he's a manager that you would love to have on your team, and you hate playing against, because he's intelligent, he's passionate, and he's willing to piss a lot of people off in order to protect his team and to protect his club, which I think you have to respect. You can get angry at, for sure, because some of the things he said has rubbed people up the wrong way, and some of his actions have rubbed people up the wrong way, and the over-sensationalized view of him at certain times that has rubbed people up the wrong way, which is fair enough. But that's not his fault, in my mind. And I think I wouldn't say misunderstood, because I feel like a lot of people understand what Klopp is. I feel like a lot of people understand the person that Klopp is. He's a person that very extreme, hence why you see the really overtly excited aspect of Klopp when his team's just got a last minute winner, and then you see the overtly angry side of Klopp when a decision goes against him. So he's hard on his sleeve, he's passionate, he's extreme, but that's the charm of him. When you compare him to a manager like I don't know, Zidane, where like Ancelotti. Ancelotti's probably a good one. Oh no, Ancelotti, yeah, where very, very mellow, very calm, very mellow, doesn't really celebrate, doesn't go off at the press and the media. He's very stoic, very calm. Klopp is the opposite of that. Klopp is can't hide his emotions, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of Liverpool fans took to him like they did and adored him like they did, because he was not only getting results off the pitch, but he made Liverpool, who's a club who already feels a divide, who already feels that level of... The club Liverpool already feel that level of separation from everyone else in the league, right? We're Scouse, not English, that type of thing. He fostered that, and he guarded that, and he made that spread, and he properly gave Liverpool an us against them persona, which I understand why people hate that, right? But if you're a Liverpool fan, you fucking love it. Which is why I think you have to respect it. So yeah, it's sad, right? It is sad, because you want to see... I still think Klopp is one of the best managers in the world, and you want to see the best managers in the world managing, in my opinion, the best league in the world, and in my opinion, have the best teams in the world. And you want to see Klopp, Pep, even people like you want to say Klopp, Pep, you want to say people like Tuchel when he was here, and Nagelsmann if he would have come, or Zidane if he would have come. You want to see the best versus the best week in, week out. And it's a shame that he's leaving, because the rivalry and what he's done in the league has been quite good. I think a lot of rival fans, from a partisan perspective, are thinking, thank fuck he's gone, because finally there's going to be a level of uncertainty. I think that's the word, uncertainty. I was going to say upheaval, but I don't think it'll be necessarily upheaval. It could be, but I don't think it would necessarily be upheaval. What it will be, though, is it will be different. It will be uncertain. We don't know what the future will hold for them. We don't know whether or not the next manager will work. We don't know. So I think Klopp, yeah, it's been an era, it's been a tenure, and it's been a very fun... He's been a part of very fun moments. Very fun moments. My mind, for some reason, whenever I think of Jurgen Klopp, I think of that very, very early on in his campaign. It might have been his first year. I reckon it might have been his first year. Liverpool go away to Carrow Road, and I think they're 3-0 down. They bring it back to 3-3. They take the lead and make it 4-3, and they concede in the last minute to make it to for Norwich equalise. And then Lallana scores a really, really good goal, and makes it 5-4, and then they jump on and jump over him to celebrate. And it's one of the first moments, I think, where Liverpool fans really took to Klopp. I think that's how that went. I do obviously know the Lallana goal and the fact that they all jumped on him and broke his glasses. I feel like that's obviously quite well documented. So there was obviously that. You obviously have the backdrop in which he came to Liverpool, like the heartbreak of that 2013-14 campaign, of like the Istanbul and Gerrard slip and all this stuff. The heartbreak of that, the season after, which was very poor, and then I think he comes mid-season. Or he comes pre-season of 1 year or whatever it was, and the backdrop of that, like Liverpool being so close but not able to get there, and having this guy who is one of the, like, a very different manager to probably what they've had in the past. Different manager to what they have in the past. Like, he's got the burden of reviving that. So I think that's cool, that kind of context and backdrop to his appointment, and how much that meant to Liverpool supporters, and how much pressure was on him. Obviously, yeah, like, it's obviously what happened in that season, and losing Coutinho quite early on in his tenure. I don't think he ever got to manage Luis Suarez, which is a crime. Got the back end of Raheem Sterling, if any of Raheem Sterling. Got the back end of a very injury-prone Daniel Sturridge. So that really good Liverpool team that we remember under Rodgers, he didn't get any of that, and he had to completely do a complete flip over of the team. Took a risk, brought in Salah, Firmino, Mane, Robertson, promoted Trent, spent 70 million on Van Dijk, Alisson, put his faith into Henderson, bought Wijnaldum off a relegated Newcastle, I think it was. People like Origi, who obviously now a cult hero. Like, it was a lot of risk. It was a lot of difference. It was a lot of differentness of that for Liverpool. So yeah, you can't sit here and you can snide at it because he's done some things that have pissed people off, which I get. But my overwhelming reaction to that is it's that same go. But he was a good coach. And still is a great coach, and you kind of feel grateful that you were able to witness like one of the best coaches with one of the best teams in the world, in the league, watching it week in, week out. So I think it's one of those things. So yeah, I don't know what happens to him next. I think that's probably the conversation that we're going to have right now. But I understand, and I get the reaction from Liverpool supporters, because if it does feel like a father figure to them has left, and that can't be hard. Like, I can't relate, because the closest thing that I have experienced when it comes to managerial departures that meant a lot to me for Chelsea is Lampard, and like that broke me because I loved him as a player and I really wanted him to succeed, and he didn't, and I couldn't accept that. I couldn't accept that, so that's what hurt. Tuchel, yeah, but I think it's a little bit different. Whereas Klopp has been there for nearly 10 years and was such a big part of the turnaround of a sleeping giant for the longest time. And yeah, he's done a lot for that club. So I completely get the reaction for Liverpool supporters, and it is heartbreaking to a certain extent. But yeah, I what's next for Klopp? I think that's a conversation we have to go to next, because where does he go from here? Like, where does he go from here? I don't know. I think he said that he doesn't want to manage another club in the Premier League, and I don't think he should manage another club in the Premier League, because I don't think he'll be right. It doesn't fit. It does not fit. It doesn't make sense for him to coach another club in the Premier League. It would be like Sir Alex coaching another club in a certain way, or Pep or someone like that. Like, it doesn't work. So I don't think he's going to go back to the Prem. I would be very surprised if he was to go back to Germany. I think he's been there, done that, and doesn't want to tarnish what he's done there. If you're thinking style of football, there's no real other league, to be honest, because the German League and the Premier League do share similar traits of being very high tempo, very high physicality. Obviously, it's different. So obviously, Germany is probably a little bit more direct and a little bit... there's a lot more space in Germany to work with. Italy, I don't think will work for him because... I think Italy will be an interesting one because it's very high risk. Because he could go in and completely turn that league on its head with his high tempo, high energy football that has been seen in certain parts, but for the most part, it is very not slow but very methodical. Whereas Klopp's way of playing football is anything but methodical. It's high. I'm gonna run and press and get the ball and go forward. So maybe taking the risk and going to Italy would be interesting. Spain, I don't think will work. France. Don't see it. Unless he goes to PSG, or unless he goes to like a different club and decides to like build them up. I don't know. So yeah, and then obviously the after that is international football. Does Klopp's? I mean, I think you need to look at it. You need to look at it from like his style of football and what works. Like, hence why you need to look at it from what his style of football and what works. Right? I don't think his style of football... I don't think he's going to coach in England again. I think we can say pretty confidently that he won't go to England again. I can say pretty confidently that he won't go back to Germany again, regardless of who it's with. Italy, I don't see his style of football working. I just think it's too frantic for Italy, and it's very high risk if he was to go there and go completely against the grain. France, I don't see it at all. Spain, I would be very surprised. I know Xavi will leave Barcelona, so maybe there's a gap opening up there, but I don't think it's the right environment for him at all. And then that goes straight to international football. Does he go to Germany? Does he go to England? Maybe after the Euros, if Southgate can't bring it home. Even if he does, is it a swan song and Klopp comes in? I don't know. I would love to see him at an international job just so he can go full health leather for 4 weeks every 2 years and just go for it and be this extroverted, out there, passionate coach on the sidelines and play this super high tempo, super energetic football. Will it work? Will it provide results? Probably not, if I had to bet, but it would be fun to see regardless, and I think that's the main thing, right? But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where he goes. I genuinely have no idea where he goes, and I think I wouldn't put it past him if he retires, genuinely. Because I don't see, unless there is a blatantly obvious job, I don't think he's in a position of his career where he needs to take a risk. The only way he should go to another club is that if he's 100% certain that this is the right club for him, and if it's not, I don't see him taking the risk. Personally, I don't see him taking the risk. So if he retires, it would not shock me in the slightest. So yeah, I guess it's just one of those things, right? Yeah, I don't know. If I had to gun to my head, I think I should gun to my head. Where does he go? He goes Jurgen Klopp next. England would be fun. England would be so fun. Yeah, sure, fucking why not? He coaches the Three Lions after Euro 2024. Sure, he won't do it. There's no way he'll do it. But it would be fucking unreal. Imagine a team of Kane, Foden, Saka, Bellingham, like being coached under Klopp. Fuck. That'd be unreal. Anyway, that's what's next for Klopp. I think, yeah, gun to my head, I'll say England. I don't think it'll be England though. So I'm dead. That's a shame. So yeah, there's that. Now the other conversation, the third part of this conversation, what happens to Liverpool? Now I think the rest of this season, will be very much. I think the rest of this season will be. It will be one of the most exciting times for Liverpool supporters because there's almost nothing to lose. Because if they don't succeed, it's okay because they've already succeeded under Klopp, so his kind of reputation won't be tarnished. And if they do succeed, awesome, great. He gets a perfect farewell. They're still in all 4 competitions, I believe. Yeah, they won in the FA Cup on the weekend. They're obviously in the Carabao Cup final, and they're still in a European competition as well as in a in the Premier League top of the league, right? So they're still in all 4. They're still in all 4 competitions. Quadruple is still on, so that would be insane if they do that. I don't think they will, but I don't know. Who knows? So what is next for them? If this announcement had happened 2 years ago, it'd be Steven Gerrard. I would be very much surprised if they appoint Steven Gerrard, although it would be one of the funniest things to ever happen in the Premier League ever. So I don't think it'll happen. If we're gonna look at some sports betting, not sports betting, but we'll just look at some 10 contenders. So this is what this website has as some potential contenders. The first one is Gerrard. Won't happen, if we're all honest. Next one is Dirk Kuyt. Doubt it. Very much doubt it. The next one after that is Erik ten Hag. That would be interesting. It won't happen. But imagine if he gets sacked from United and then goes to Liverpool and then wins the league with Liverpool. Oh, fuck. That would be, geez, that would be a story and a half. It's very unlikely that happens, in my opinion. Very unlikely. It's a great thought though. It's a great thought experiment. Zidane. Nah, I don't think it'd work. I think Zidane is he only works at very particular jobs. Very, very particular jobs, and I don't think Liverpool's that. I think they need more. I think Liverpool need a little bit more of a not. Maybe this is recency bias, and because Klopp has worked, I think they need a very extroverted manager. I think the way that Liverpool. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have any reasonings. I just don't think it'd work. I just don't think it's the right fit. Just vibes. Emery. No, I don't think Emery. I think that's a point. I don't think that should happen at all. I think Emery has found his level at Villa. He will do very well with teams like Villa, but I don't think that next step. He's a fantastic floor raiser. Emery's a unbelievable floor raiser, not a ceiling raiser. Can't take good teams and make them elite. He can make average teams good. Can't make good teams elite, in my opinion. Nagelsmann, yeah, that would be good. I wouldn't mind Nagelsmann. I think they're similar vein type thing when it comes to Klopp. Like it's play similar style of philosophy. Maybe not game style exactly, but their philosophy is relatively similar. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. Pep Linders, that would be the natural kind of successor in a sense, and it would be the most similar. Like it would be if Liverpool don't want to upset the apple cart at all, if they don't want to take a risk, I think Pep Linders is the guy because it's basically just Klopp 2.0. Obviously with tweaks and tinkers and whatever, but it'll be a very similar way of playing football. The vibe around the club will be very similar, and the players and the profile of players that work on the club will probably work under Linders as well. So you won't need a lot of squad turnover. You won't necessarily have this warming in period because the players will be used to Linders anyway. So maybe it's that, I don't know. Then you got someone like De Zerbi. That would be a big step in his career. I don't necessarily think he's proven exactly what he can do at Brighton. He's obviously done very well, and he's probably taken what Potter has done and elevated it a little bit better. But I just think he needs a couple more years to fully establish himself, and maybe needs a bridging step. Maybe a Spurs would have been a good move for him if they had gone with him instead of Ange before this season. But I just think maybe it's too big of a step, and maybe it's a little bit too early as well. So I don't think maybe him. You got people like Ange. I think it'd be a great fit, but I don't think it'll happen. I think it'll be a great fit, but I don't think it'll happen. I really do. I think it would be fantastic to see, like as an Australian, as a person who loves Ange, it'll be a fantastic story because obviously boyhood club, etc. Like Ange is a Liverpool supporter, but I don't think it'll happen. I think he's too committed to Tottenham right now, and I think it's one of those moves where if it works, great. if it fails and he gets sacked after 18 months, he won't be in demand for a lot of other clubs. And I think it's one of those moves where it's like very high risk, high reward, but also if that risk doesn't pay off, it could ruin his career. And I still think he's got tickets in the bank to keep going and have a couple more very good years at the top level of Europe. So I don't think Ange should go there. And the obvious one is Xabi Alonso. That's the obvious one. And is it obvious for a reason? Yes. Yeah, it's obvious for a reason. Because it is the natural attempt at a level up. Like I mentioned with Linders, if they went with Linders, it would be the ultimate sidestep move, which isn't bad because Liverpool are top of the league. So if Liverpool went sideways and they stay top of the league and they stay top 4 minimum, that's not a bad thing. Whereas Xabi Alonso is one of those people where it can take them to that next level. And for him to take Liverpool to the next level, with Liverpool already being a couple of points clear at the top of the table in all 4 competitions, in a cup final, and we're already in January, I think that's a very scary proposition. Very scary proposition. It's a completely different way of playing football. Obviously, Xabi Alonso playing this three at the back formation at Bayer Leverkusen. They have not lost a competitive game all year. The last game that they've lost, including friendlies, was in June. And obviously, the fullbacks of Grimaldo and Frimpong have just been exceptional this season. And he's getting the best out of people like Xhaka, out of Florian Wirtz. So he's able to get a lot out of some technically limited players like Xhaka, but also a lot out of technically gifted players like Wirtz, and I think that profile matches Liverpool's squad composition quite well because you've got the technically limited players, people like Endo, but then you've got players like Szoboszlai who has technical ability coming out of his ears, right? So I think that would be very, very interesting. Very, very interesting, and I think it's a very scary proposition because Xabi Alonso is just coming into this kind of area of his career where he's just about started to peak, and if he can match up with a squad that's ready to go, it could be very, very interesting. Obviously, plus the connection that he has with the club. It's obvious, and it's obvious for a reason, but I think it's obvious, and it's obvious for a reason, because I just think it just works. It just works, and I think they should do it. They just should do it. And they should go hell for leather at the end of the year. Blank check, he'll come. And it is one of those things where it's like, it's almost just written in the stars type thing. But yeah, that's I think enough on the Klopp section, because we've spoken about Klopp at Liverpool, what's next for Klopp, and then what's next for Liverpool. So there you go. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to return, and we will be touching on some Asian Cup football, shall we? Let's do that. Okay, we are back, and we've gone from speaking about the beautiful topic of Jurgen Klopp to speaking about Australia at the Asian Cup. Now, which games? So I just want to refresh my brain, because of course we played last night against Indonesia. We won 4-0. Terrific. Uzbekistan was on Tuesday night, so I didn't actually. This was after I recorded the last episode. We drew 1-1 to Uzbekistan. It was bad, like terrible, like just awful. But we drew and it didn't really matter, so I'm just going to ignore that game. Indonesia, we won 4-0. It was terrific. Bruno finally started. It was great. Apart from the fact that it was the single most unconvincing 4-0 win I have ever seen in my life. It's one of those things where, like, you look at the score, right? You look at the score, you go on FotMob and you look at the player ratings, and you look at stats. Even the stats don't really flatter Australia, to be honest. Like I think Indonesia maybe outpassed Australia, if I'm not mistaken, or it would have been close regardless. Okay, it was 350 passes to 349 accurate passes, 51% possession to 49% possession. It was the worst 4-0 win I've ever seen. Right, and I'm not exaggerating, glorifying, whatever. It was appalling. Like, there is something about this team that is incapable of doing just the simplest of things, right? We verse the winner of Saudi Arabia and Korea in the next round. We play like we played on the weekend we played last night against them. We lose comfortably, right? Because it wasn't the difference between this game and The difference between this game and the previous games, and what it was really drastic to me, was in the games in the group stage, we were dominating the game. Dominated India, dominated Syria, and dominated for the most part Uzbekistan. But we just couldn't, there was nothing exciting going forward, right? There was nothing going forward, no way of breaking down a below block, whatever. And the way that I would rationalise that in my mind is like, okay, we're versing India, Syria, and Uzbekistan. 3 teams who were better than, comfortably better than, and who approach the game knowing that we are better than them. So they're going to sit back, tight, and be compact. As are teams like we verse in the competition, they're going to set up the same. When we verse a team like Korea, like Japan, Iran, Saudi Arabia, even like a team like a UAE or a Qatar, should be versed in however it falls, we know that the foot's going to be on the opposite. The shoe's going to be on the opposite foot. They're going to be the ones dominating possession, and we're going to be sitting in a relatively low block, relatively compact, and trying to hit teams on the counter, right? And if that fails, or if it goes the opposite way, and we're the team that is better in terms of possession and dominating the ball, teams like Korea and Japan are going to want to press us. They're going to want to open up space to try and go punch for punch, and there's going to be gaps where we can exploit. The difference is, with this game against Indonesia, there was no way, like there was the inability to complete 5-yard passes, the inability to complete any patterns of play that would create a half like goal scoring opportunity. There was no, it was bad. Like it was concerning. And I don't say this because I want fucking clickbait or I want to sound different. I want Australia to succeed more than anyone. I fucking cried on this podcast because of my love for this country, right? And these countries giving me the happiest moment of my life, bar none, when Matt Leckie scored against Denmark. But there is something lacking in this team, like something seriously wrong with this team, and I really don't think it's got to do with the personnel. I do not think it has anything to do with the personnel, because players like Riley McGree is a really good footballer, technically gifted, unable to complete 5-yard passes. Geordie Boss was okay, but once again, why is he played out on the left wing when he's a left back? I don't get it. Like, people like Irvine is a really solid midfielder, but apart from his goals, has been below par this tournament, right? Mitchell Duke, we saw what he was able to do at the World Cup when he's played so far in this tournament. He's been average. Bruno had no service on the weekend. He was okay-ish, kind of. Like, the really good players and players that are capable of playing at a world-class level to a certain extent are playing badly this tournament, like really below par. I couldn't tell you who our best player this tournament has been. I really couldn't. And yeah, I know we won 4-0 on the weekend and we're going through to the quarterfinals of a tournament, great, but the way in which we've done it has been so unconvincing and has been so just below par and below standard, to the point where people will look at the score. Got through unscathed in the group stage, didn't lose a game, top of our group, terrific. We won 4-0 in the round of 16 of an international competition, great. We had 2 shots up until 2-0. We did not have a shot in the first half. Like, that is unacceptable. I don't care about the scoreline, because eventually it will catch up to you. It is unsustainable the way that we are playing, and I really fear that if Korea or Saudi Arabia get a little bit of confidence and they start the game well, it could end badly. It could end really badly. And that is my biggest fear, because I still think that at our best, we can go punch for punch. Right? Is it? Yeah, it's Korea or Saudi Arabia. I'm not going insane. But at our best, we can so easily go punch for punch with both Korea and Saudi Arabia. Right? Because we've shown that at our best, we are capable of playing at a really good level. But our best is so few and far between. Our best is so inconsistent. And our worst is bad. It's really bad. There is no consistency in this team. And that is what scares me. Because we could rock up and play Saudi Arabia or Korea and play out of our skins and win the game. And then we could verse Iraq in the semi-final and then lose. Because there's no fluidity, there's no consistency, there's no way of properly seeing how a game will pan out. There's no way of predicting anything to do with this team. It is... Yeah, is this a rant? It's turning into a rant, and it just is a rant, because I just don't know. I don't know, because am I afraid? I think I am, of the potential of what could happen if we don't decide to rock up, and the backlash and the ignorance, because we should be able to go far in this tournament. We should make the semi-finals minimum of this tournament, in my opinion. We are, in my opinion, the equal fourth best team in Asia, or we are equal top four best teams in Asia, right? So we have to make at least the semis. But the way that we're performing doesn't constitute anything close to a semi-final performance, regardless of the results. So I really don't want another international tournament to go to waste, because I feel like we've already wasted it to a certain extent, not calling up Qual, Irukunda, Robertson, Sakari, players like that. I feel like we've wasted it to a certain extent, and I fear that a wasted tournament here could lead to a wasted tournament in 2026. And I think 2026 is our best chance of doing something half decent in a World Cup. So, I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know what happens from here. I'm recording this on a Monday afternoon, so I don't know if we're going to verse Saudi Arabia or South Korea. I would pray to God that it's... I mean, it's pick your poison, right? I mean, we've seen Tajikistan knocked out the UAE, which is a big upset. They're through to their quarterfinals. And should we get through to the semi-finals versus either Iraq, Jordan, or Tajikistan, you'd back us in that, right? You'd back us in that. And I mean, one of Iran or Japan will be out at the quarterfinal stages as well. So I don't know. I'm scared because I don't want this tournament to go to waste, and I don't want us to play poorly. And I hate seeing us play poorly. But it was bad. It was really bad against Indonesia. No one could do anything. I was watching that game and I was like, fuck, Riley McGree can't make a pass. And Riley McGree's really good at football. What hope do any of our slightly average players have? Like, Jackson Irvine has been one of the most consistent Socceroos players I've seen in a long time, and he's been average this tournament. Average. Arnie's putting his faith in Gethin Jones for whatever reason, I don't know. Aziz Beige continues to play at left back when you've got Geordie Boss, who's 10 times the player, and he's playing left wing. Goodwin not starting. Like, I don't know. And you can say, and Arnie came out post game and was like, he doesn't think Geordie Boss and Craig Goodwin can play in the same team because they're both left-footed, and because they both like to occupy the same spaces. Okay, are you that stubborn tactically, or maybe worse, are you just not up to it tactically to develop a game plan where you can fit both Geordie Boss and Craig Goodwin in? It's called overloads. Geordie Boss has a right foot. Like, Geordie Boss probably has a better right foot than Craig Goodwin. So invert him a little bit, or create overloads, or play Goodwin on the right, or play Goodwin centrally, or do something that puts our best players on the pitch, because I'm fucking sick and tired of I don't want to get into a rant, but I'm sick and tired of players playing because of reputation. Aziz Beige is one of them. He should not be playing. He should not be playing. I like Aziz. I do, but I don't. He's a Melbourne City player. He's played for Victory. I remember the 2010 Grand Final. Right? He's been good for us. He's been a great Socceroos player. When he made that run against Argentina in the World Cup, I nearly exploded. But he shouldn't be playing, right? Like, it's an example of a big problem that's in Australian football at the moment. The semi-finals on Sunday night, I think Saturday night, or the quarters. I'm either going to sit here next week and be very, very cross at Graham Arnold, or I'm going to sit here and be very, very happy the fact that they went to a semi-final of a major competition. I don't know, but I think that wraps it up. I was going to speak about the A-League, but it's 45 minutes and I spoke too much on Klopp, so I won't be doing that, unfortunately, this episode. But yes, thank you all very much for watching another episode of the 2 Foot Tech podcast. Thank you for sticking around if you have. Thank you for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe, do all the good stuff like I said in the beginning. We'll be back same time next week, Tuesday, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, where fingers crossed we speak about Australia into a semi-final of a major competition, because I can't do the other way around. But yes, stay well, stay safe. Hope all your supporting clubs win on the weekend as always. Thank you for stopping by. Stay well, stay safe, like I said. See you next week. Goodbye.